Next time you're at the movies or watching a film on Mnet, just listen to the music as it complements the action, adding emotion, drama and tension. And tonight, a familiar face to South Africa's 40-somethings shows us how it's done and why he's taking Hollywood by storm.
Go throttle up. Copy, go throttle up.
He wrote the scores for Hollywood movies like Enemy of the State, Armageddon and National Treasure, and won more awards than he can count, including several Grammys. It started off with classical piano lessons as a boy. He then embarked on a lifelong love affair with the guitar. The name is Trevor Rabin, South Africa's celebrated guitarist, singer, songwriter and composer. You might remember him from Rabbit or Yes, but Trevor Rabin has left the rock stage for the lights of Hollywood, and he's written the score for 25 movies. Here at his Los Angeles home studio, he creates the stuff Hollywood dreams are made of. A stone's throw from the houses of the producers and actors he composes for, Trevor is crafting away at the music of yet another feature film, Glory Road, to be released soon. If you were to watch or listen to a movie without the music, you'd be amazed at what a difference the score makes. And that's where Trevor has found a new profession, playing with our emotions.
The most vivid way of understanding what a movie is without music is to take the music out. I mean, you're basically ripping the heart out of the film. If there's a scene which is supposed to make you cry, the music better help you get there, or you're not doing your job, you know. One of the things that I think music's important for is editing. You know, you need to help smooth edits over.
Name's George Durham.
Since I was maybe 13 years old, I always noticed the scores. I always noticed, oh, I love the way that's playing the picture. And I always knew when I didn't like a score.
But before he ended up in Tinseltown, Trevor's career took many twists and turns. He left the hugely successful band Rabbit, first South African rock album to go gold with Boys Will Be Boys, when political pressure took its toll in the late 70s. International fame would come in London with the rock group Yes, when Trevor penned songs like Owner of a Lonely Heart and Evergreen, which resurfaced this year as a popular remix. But after 14 years, somehow Yes also didn't satisfy his artistic ambitions.
And I remember we were playing in Hiroshima, and I remember thinking to myself, man, we'd finished the show, and it wasn't a great show. It was a great tour, but that last show, just the sound wasn't great, and it was hard work. And I went to a bar afterwards with my assistant, and I said to him, I think that's it. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. The thought of playing these songs, I've played them 1,000 times or so on the road. The thought of playing them again soon, you know, I need a break from it.
Trevor left the group Yes 10 years ago, but music is still his life. And a major shift in his career started with a simple guitar lesson.
Talking about Hollywood, a maitre d' at one of the restaurants we went to said Steven Seagal, who's one of the owners of the restaurant, knows I come there, and he really would like me to give him some, because he was a guitarist, and he's not bad, but he wanted me to give him some guitar lessons. And I thought, well, yeah, I don't mind. I'll go and I went to Steven's house, and we sat down and we played some guitar, and he said, oh, thanks so much, I really appreciate it. And I said, well, it's no problem. He said, you know, if there's anything I can do for you or any way I can reciprocate. And I said, well, if you know anybody, you know, an agent or something, I was thinking of getting into film scoring. And he said, well, I've just finished a movie if you want to do the score.
Just like that?
Just like that. And I said, yeah.
It turned out to be a $25 million Warner Brothers film, The Glimmer Man. But unfamiliar with movie industry jargon, he was baffled by the term POV on a script for a Russian espionage movie.
They were always referring to POV, and I thought, you know, I'm not getting the story, because they talk about POV all the time, and but he never talks in the movie. I'm not understanding. Point of view. I thought POV was a Russian agent.
Dealing with the pressure of being creative in the face of looming deadlines would also prove to be a new ballgame for Trevor.
You know, in the rock world, it was very different. Record companies would call me and say, "Is a single ready?" And I said, "You'll get it when it's ready. I can't manufacture something that's not there. It's got to be felt." And you do that in film. It's like, all right, well, thanks for your time, and there'll be someone else on it, you know. So you have to get it done.
And after all that, you take it to the director, and he says, "I hate it."
That's the hard part.
On average, Trevor works about 12 weeks on a movie score before the release.
In the old days, there used to be a theme. They would come up with a theme. The composer would then go to the piano and play it to the director and say, "Okay, this is kind of what I'm thinking," and you know, and he'll play it on the piano and say, "The French horns are going to come in here," and might go la da da and sing over it, and you know, then there's a big surprise at the end.
These days, the sophistication of samples and computers allow the composer to orchestrate creatively, but not on paper.
Well, as I say, I'll start with maybe with a piano sound. In fact, my piano has a program, my acoustic piano, where I can play something and play it back to myself. So in order to arrange it, I'll write a string, like a first violin part, and then maybe a second violin, and then there's violas, cellos, and then double basses, and then melt it all together. Every one of these is an audio track or a track of an instrument. There's more here. So there's literally hundreds of tracks of different things.
For most movies, some sections of the score will be performed by an orchestra. But on low-budget movies, Trevor will settle for the virtual sound and complete the whole mix in his studio.
Well, but I've had orchestra sessions which have been hard work, and it hasn't gone as well. But on balance, even that still sounds, you know, because it's real. They're real people playing.
Do you think of the specific actors while you're writing the score?
Good acting makes it much easier. Denzel Washington in Remember the Titans. I loved writing that score because all of them are so good in that.
Trevor, the music business has a reputation for drugs, sex, and rock and roll, and yet you've been a family man. You've been married for almost 3 decades.
She just doesn't know about any of it. No, it's we've been married for over 25 years, and it still feels like we're starting.
Trevor's son Ryan grew up on the road with him during the Yes years, and he's now a popular drummer.
But I remember when he was 6 years old, I was doing there was a tribute to Ahmet Ertegun, who's one of the great record guys of all time. And there was a big tribute to him, and Yes played, Genesis played, Led Zeppelin played, and during sound check they were sitting in the audience. Just everyone was checking each other's sound checks, and they were sitting in the audience, and my son got on stage with a mic and started singing "I'm Bad," Michael Jackson's "I'm Bad," and did the backward walk,
Michael Jackson turned out to be just one of the many stars Trevor would collaborate with. His guitar work also featured on the albums of the likes of Seal and Tina Turner. Yet he still found time to work on solo albums and make guest appearances. Lately, however, the writing of film scores like Enemy of the State takes up most of his time.
Trevor, have you sussed out Hollywood totally? Do you know how it works?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, my Hollywood is my Hollywood. I mean, that's one thing I've sussed out about Hollywood is there's so many little worlds within Hollywood which function within themselves and kind of eat away at themselves. The only time someone worries about another movie is it being released on the same day as me.
It seems as if Trevor takes the Hollywood game with a pinch of salt, spiced with a touch of humor.
Romantic, something that's scary, something that's about danger.
All right, well, danger would be... Right?
Surely, Trevor, when you look at that view you've got, you get into your Aston Martin and head down your road where the Hollywood sign is right there, you feel, I've made it.
I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, but I'm always thinking about how I got the last thing wrong and how I'm going to get it right next time. So it's hard to think like that. I never look at it from a retrospective point of view. I try not to.